hearing yelling and screaming and shouting, children crying. So they'll come and the police will turn up, and myself and my partner at that time would just deny it. She would switch, she would change. I'd say to her, look what you've done now. Look who's here now, the police are here now. See, look what you've done. You go talk to them, go on. And what, I'll get locked up and you'll be by yourself and you'll be dealing with all these children. Is that what you wanted? The officers knew, hang on, this is too many times we've come to this house. You know, neighbours ain't just ringing up because they don't like you. Neighbours are ringing up because they can hear stuff. And so it got to a point where they turned up, I was still yelling. Can't hide it now. And that's when they introduced the protection order.
Two big, huge guys turned up my driveway, asked me my name and said, this is for you, can you sign it? And when I asked them what it was, they said, read it. It's not up to us to tell you what it is, we've given it to you. So I was sort of a bit bewildered, and I was walking inside and I looked at the front page and it said my name and my wife's name. I thought, oh, okay, and I turned the page over and it was about 30 pages, and I said, I'm not going to read it, I'll just ring my wife and find out what's going on. And so, of course, I rang her and she said, you're not supposed to ring me. I said, well, why not? And she said, because it's protection order, have you not read it? And I said, no, I thought I'd just ring you up and find out what it is. She said, go to about page 5. And I flicked over to page 5 and it says, you are not to have contact with these people. And it's like being hit in the face with a sledgehammer. And at the bottom it's got a judge's name and a signature, and I thought, this guy doesn't even know me. Who the hell is he to tell me that I can't go round to my house whenever I want to? I can't see my kids whenever I want to. I can't just pick up the phone and ring my wife. You're not allowed to mail a letter, you're not allowed to send a present. I couldn't ask my brother to go and give them a message. And I'm thinking, this is bullshit, stuff this.
And I wasn't allowed to be in the house no more. I had to leave. To the point where I was breaking those protection orders like no tomorrow. I couldn't handle being away from home. I missed my children. I was alone. I had to go away to other places and I just couldn't stand the thought of me not being there. So I would sneak all the time to the house, but I suppose it was that control over her as well. Just still having the control. I feel I was losing it if I wasn't there.
My behaviour just continued, and then eventually she was strong enough to take out a protection order against me. So I was sitting down at home having tea one night, and then the door knocks and it's the bailiff. He goes, oh, this is for you. I said, what the hell is this? Protection order. I looked at it, and I just threw it in the rubbish. Made nothing of it. Had a look at it, it was like, oh, well, if I'm going to go to jail, well, then I'll go to jail.
I lost my wife and kids. It was like a death. One day I go home to my house, or our house, and they're there, and I took that for granted. I could only just cope with breaking up, but I knew they were there. They were only just around the corner. I could go and see them, ring them up, talk to them. But now I had a piece of paper that said I couldn't do that anymore either. When you get that piece of paper, you don't know who to talk to anymore, because the person you want to talk to about it is the person you're protected from. You know, you've got the protection order from. They're the ones with all the answers. And so, but you're not allowed to talk to them.
I breached it about 3 times. I'd just come home after rugby on Saturday night and want to see my kids. And yeah, I'm coming to see them. You know, and I'd get around there, the house would be locked. One night I picked up a chair from outside and threw it through the bedroom window so I could get inside, just to see my kids at 3 o'clock in the morning, pissed. You know, just no consideration for them or my partner. Just feeling sorry for myself because I wanted to see my kids, because I missed them, and you know, and it came to the realisation I've got to stop doing that. You know, I'm hurting the ones that I love the most.
After a lot, my fifth or sixth breach, because I was just getting breach, and getting told, you know, you're looking at 2 years minimum, because a breach is carrying a penalty of 2 years. You're constantly doing this. You're just straight out breaking your bail. You're picking up your children, even just taking them with you, and you're a risk to society. You're a risk to everyone around you.
I got to a point where I thought, yous. You don't want anything to do with me. This is what's going to happen. We had a house together and I wanted to sell it. And I didn't care. My wife was saying, oh, you're going to throw your kids out on the street. I said, I don't give a our life's over. Let's get rid of the house. So, of course, I wasn't supposed to be contacting her, but I rang her up and she would hang the phone up. And that pissed me off even more. So I was getting frustrated, so I was ringing her back. And I rang her 14 times in half an hour. About the 15th time the police turned up. And I'd breached a protection order and was arrested. And I couldn't understand because I was trying to sell my house, that's all. So I felt I had an honest reason to ring her. I wasn't harassing her as such until I read the story in the Chronicle a couple of days later, and it said, live-in man rings ex-wife 14 times in half an hour. And I thought, that sounds dumb.
When I got my second protection order, I actually took it to him. I said, what does this mean? Because protection orders, you're just given this piece of paper and they walk away. I don't understand. I don't understand this stuff. Tell me about it. So he read it through me for the whole hour session. We went through everything that I was allowed to do and what I wasn't allowed to do and why it happened. And then I started to realize that this makes sense, eh? My behavior is not good. Yeah, it's not good.
That policeman stayed with me for an hour and a half, which I really appreciated. And at the end of the day, he said, your wife now has the long arm of the law with her. You can't fight it. You need to learn a way to get on with your life, involve your kids, realise your marriage is over, and move on.